Hi, this is me again, K1BSZ. This video is entitled Problems with Power Line Interference. Boy, do I know about that stuff. Oh, yeah. Okay, let's see. Excuse me. Um, let's start off by way back. Okay, back in the 60s, when all your televisions and radios were all analog. Now, back where I used to live down home, excuse me, we lived on a hill off of US Route 5. There was a line coming up from the substation down the street that came up. We were came up past our house, and that we were the first ones on that line that fed uptown around the lake, and part of Orford, New Hampshire. So then there was the big high tension lines there that came up from the Wilder Dam and it tapped off juice to the Thetford substation and the Ely substation. And that substation fed the current down to Thetford and over towards Lake Fairley and those places. Well, we had this old Arvian black and white TV. And we didn't have an all channel antenna. All we had was a channel 4 antenna. And it had to aim towards the south, towards Boston. And where we used to live, we get channels 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, and that was it. We didn't have the UHF channels. It came later on. Well, so that big transmission line went past our house. You turn the TV on, and on channel 2, the interference is so bad. It'd be like this. That was your picture. Could hardly see my face. Channel 3 was not quite as bad. Channel 4 was, a little bit. Channel 5 was, the higher the frequency went, the less you got. Now, you got to remember, back then, the television signals came directly from the stations. They didn't do it by the satellite, so it's just from the TV stations directly. And you got to remember the TV signal back then, it was AM video, FM voice. So, anyways, this big high tension line was probably like 44,000 volts of electricity flowing through those big high tension lines. And the interference was just unbelievable. I mean, I couldn't hear anything on my radios. My Citizens band radio was worse because it was a vertical antenna. and I argued and argued and argued and argued. But there was a guy that was really good with a power company. He was a ham too. I knew him pretty well. So he said, "What we're going to do is we're going to put some dope on them connections on the power lines to quiet things down." And didn't really work all that well. So then, I'm not going to make a long video because I'm going to go to bed. Anyway, so, I mean, they kept screwing around, and So then they said to keep track of the weather, so I did. And then a fellow told me, he said, "Well, you got to get yourself a little AM radio," and they're consulting with the same thing. Get yourself a little portable AM radio, and and they got that ferret bar in the top of the radio. You should just turn it around, walk around, and and just and use it as a directional finder to see where the most interference is. And document where it's coming from and what pole it is, what number it is, all that, and give it to us. It went on for like 15 years, and I kept complaining and complaining, and nothing worked. But I had a cousin that worked for Central Vermont Public Service Corporation. See, it's who you know. You ever heard that word? It's who you know. It's who knows how much money you know. So I called up the Rutland office. My cousin answered the phone. "Hi, Clyde. How are you today?" "Well, not too bad." "What's up?" I said, "Well, I got a little problem." "What do you do?" So he said, What's the problem, Clyde?" And I said, "Well," I got this problem with the power line interference. And he said, "Oh, yeah?" He says, "Oh, down there to Ely where you live?" I said, "Yeah, yeah." "Oh, well, how bad is it?" And I said, "Well, can't really watch channel 2 or 3 or 4 because the interference is so bad." "Oh, that's not good." I said, "Oh, well, what about your ham stuff? What about that?" I said, "Yeah, pretty bad there too. It's bad on 6 meters and 10 meters. What about 80 meters? What about up there?" "Yeah, it's still pretty bad up there." "Really? That bad, huh?" And I said, "Well, I got an estimator on my portable radio." "Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah." "Well, wait, have you found the, yeah, I get it right here. Pole number 125, pole number 127, and pole number 130, and pole number 140, and so on and so forth." And he says, "Oh, it's every other pole. What's on those poles anyway?" Well, let's see, there's a set of inductors on one pole, and then on another one down there, there's different kind of insulators. And are those the steel towers? Yeah, steel towers. They're all steel towers. Well, this has been going on for 15 years. He's 15 years. All right, that's what we're going to do. He said, "Send a crew over there on Monday. We're going to take care of that problem for you." And he says, "Now, when Wednesday comes, they'll be done by Wednesday. You go around that radio and check. Within from the substation back up to Fairleigh where it crosses Route 5, and then go back down through. Go back past about a mile down below the substation, and then about a mile up, and just check that area for us if you would, please. If you hear anything, you call me. Or call me anyways." So I did. I said, "Sounds perfect." The superintendent caught me in town. He walked up to me and says, "You know what? You're a little son of a bitch. You just cost us $250,000. We're on a very restricted budget." So what? They threatened to shut my lights off. Can't do that. "Oh, yes, we can." "No, you can't." Well, so anyways, things got fixed. They took all the poles out, all the towers, and they put all new stainless steel wire. Yeah, the good stuff. And they did some work down there. And those lines are clean as a whistle. I had another little problem, power problem, running Main Street in town. And it started one June morning in 2003. And the interference was wicked bad. I mean, it was like 60 over S9. And I kept complaining about it. So this one morning, this is a good one. Shows you how stupid they are sometimes. I went to call the superintendent. Phone rings, and he goes, "Oh, hi, how are you? Good. We were just about ready to call you." I said, "Really? Okay. We found the interference." "Really?" "Yes. It's not even our poles." "Really?" "Yeah." He says, "The interference is coming from your next door neighbor's electric alarm clock." "Is that right?" "Oh, yeah. Yeah, we pinned it down. It's inside of her house. We went inside, and yeah, it's her clock. It's got a bad bushing in there. So you'll have to deal with her. So it's out of our hands." "Well, thank you so much for telling me." "Well, you're very welcome. You have a great day." And he probably said, boy, I hope he bought that." So I went out that night, that day, and at night when all the loads are off on those poles. There's not much juice being drawn. I've turned the radio around. And I copied the numbers down, Next morning, call it up again. Gets better. "Hello?" I said, "What do you think I am, a fool?" And he says, "Excuse me?" "You know who this is?" He goes, "Yeah, this Clyde, right?" "Yeah, listen, it is not my neighbor's electric alarm clock. I went in and I checked with her. She has not seen anybody from the power company in 6 months." He goes, "Oh." I says, "And I checked with her to ask her if she's got any electric alarm clocks in her house. She has none. They're all quartz clocks or LED clocks, solid state clocks." He goes, "Oh." And I said, "Furthermore," I said, "and she's got a solar power generating plant behind her house, and that's clean too." "Oh." "Now, you listen to me." I said, "I'm giving you 24 hours to clean up that interference from that pole I told you, or the shit's going to hit the fan. Do you hear me? I will, number one, I will call the state's attorney. Number two, I'll call the Public Utilities Commission that governs you people down here from Montpelier. Number three, I'm calling the lieutenant governor and forward a letter complaint to the governor's office. Number four, I'm also going to call the Orange County Sheriff's Department to make sure you guys are out there doing your work. And number five, I'm calling the head office, the head office in Rutland, and file a complaint. I said 24 hours from this time, right now. 24 hours. I'm going to give you 24 hours to get that interference taken care of, or the shit is going to hit the fan. Do I make myself clear?" The guy goes, "Yes, sir." "Did you hear me?" He says, "Yes, sir." I said, "Do I make myself clear?" "Yes, sir." "How many hours?" He says, 24, sir. "Thank you." Click. 10 minutes later, there's a crew out there. Buckets up there. They've got the cops there directing traffic, Their radios are going, "Arr, arr." They're all talking. Yeah, let's get that insulator off there. Yeah, okay, why don't you do this? And they're on the other side. We've got cones set up everywhere, just yellow tape everywhere, and traffic control, blue lights flashing, police cars out there, and their radios or PA systems going, car 2 to car 3, attention, people are out there, what the fuck is going on here? And then they shut the power off, comes back on, So then, that day, I moved out of the apartment. They didn't know that. I moved out. I turned my radio on. It was clear, perfectly clear. So, and they couldn't find me. They were trying to trace me. So they found out I was living at an apartment building, and which was not anywhere near any power lines. So how's the lines now? Oh, great. Really? Says, have you tried your radio since we fixed the lines? Which one? And he says, well, the ones there, the apartment building you're living at. I was living. Oh, you don't anymore? No, I moved out November 1st. Well, that's when we fixed the lines. Oh, you did? Oh, I guess I didn't notice. Yeah, over here they're fine. No interference over here. Well, how far are you from the power lines? Oh, I don't know, a couple tenths of a mile. Oh, I bet he was pissed. I bet he was so fucking mad. I bet he was so mad that he probably grabbed his coffee pot, smashed it on the floor, and was so mad. So, but if it bothers your equipment, see, the FCC says you cannot have any product or a power line or anything that'll interfere with something else. That's the law. And they know it. They try to get around it. That's bullshit. Now, if the power company gives you any crap and they won't do what they're supposed to do, then you can do a few things. Here's my advice. Call your state's attorney. Call your attorney general's office in your government office in your state. And when you do that, you ask to file a complaint, a consumer's complaint against the power company for failing to keep your equipment up to date and interference free. And then you can call the Public Utilities Commission of your state and let them know what's going on. Number 2, you can call the ARRL and complain to them. Number 4, you can call the Federal Communications Commission, and they love to hear about complaints about stuff like that. Oh, they love it. And file a complaint with them, and then and go to your select board too, in mayor's office or something, and tell them about it too. So once you get all this information and you do like I told you to do, you'll AM radio and find out where the most interference is, where it sounds the worst, and write down the pole numbers and the locations there, and keep a track of the weather. Very important, keep track of the weather, because most cases, power lines will not act up when it's wet out. When they start drying out, that's when they really get noisy. They start sparking and arcing because between the moisture, because sometimes moisture has salt in it, it has some metals in it, in the water. Most generally, water coming out of the atmosphere is pure water. It doesn't have anything in it, but sometimes it does. So it'll be sparking in there a little bit, dirt in the air and stuff like that. So you keep track of the weather. Get all the information down and give it to them, and hopefully your power line problems will be solved. Okay? Anyways, have a good evening. We'll talk to you later. Be safe. Don't drink and drive because you must play a drink. We'd rather talk to you and read about you in the paper. And wear your mask and wash your hands And you have a good evening. Bye-bye. Thank you.